Whoa, what is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And in this video, we're going to preview the Week 3 matchup between the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. I planned on going live tonight with Bad Dog, but the schedules didn't really match up. Bad Dog's doing a live on his channel at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be live with Patricia Train at 7:30. Not to mention the game's on Monday night, so we normally do the show on Friday. We got an extra day. So we'll go live tomorrow. We'll spread out the Giants content a bit, give you a show tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun to discuss this game with Bad Dog, get some of his thoughts coming off the 2-0 start for the New York Giants. Hopefully, we can find a way to get to 3-0. In addition to that, I will have my weekly picks, in which I have a subscriber come on to try to beat me this week. So far, I'm 1-0 when going up against you guys on a weekly basis. If you're interested in doing that, I think I have somebody lined up, but just in case I don't, I got to reach out to him on Twitter. Reach out to me. Let me know if you guys want to join. Message me on Twitter. It's just much more easier for me to do it that way. If you don't follow me on Twitter, at DA Entertainer85, or just type in Entertainer. I will pop up if you have a Twitter account, and send me a message. I'll definitely follow you back if you want to join the channel for that. And we'll be live once again for the night before stream, as we're all amped up to see if the New York Giants can get out to a hot 3-0 start. And if the New York Giants are able to win, at least historically speaking, and don't read too much into this, because obviously some teams are better than others historically, but history would tell you there's a 76% chance that a team that starts 3-0 over the course of history in the NFL will make the playoffs. Now, of course, there's been some changes. Now it's 7 teams making instead of 6, but there is 17 games instead of 16. So I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but regardless, there's a much greater chance than not that if the Giants start 3-0, history tells you there's a very good chance we're going to make the playoffs. But it's one game at a time with this team. I'm not even thinking playoffs right now. I'd be lying if I said I'm not thinking it. You're always thinking it. But I'm trying to take this one game at a time and enjoy this season as much as I possibly can. The Giants, of course, coming off what many felt was a sloppy win last week, being able to knock off the Carolina Panthers, relying on the defense. The way I look at it, I've said it on Twitter all week, there's no such thing as a bad win to me. A win is a win. You know, if you're of the mindset of there are no moral victories in the NFL, which I completely agree with, there's just not. It's about wins and losses. You can't have the same mind. If you believe that, well, then any win is a good win. You take the wins where you can get it. The NFL is about surviving and advancing. And thus far, the New York Giants are one of only 6 teams in the National Football League who remain undefeated. And this week, they go up against arguably their biggest rival, the Dallas Cowboys. Not only that, it's on Monday Night Football. Not only that, there's going to be a whiteout at the stadium, meaning that everybody that shows up is going to be in white. It should be a treat to watch on TV. Should be an even bigger treat to be at the stadium. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it if you're going to the game. Can't wait to see how this turns out and if the New York Giants can continue their winning ways against this Dallas Cowboys football team. We'll get into all the news and notes, all the injuries, at least as of now. These reports could change leading up into the game, but it seems like a couple of guys are going to play on the Dallas side that maybe we were thinking may not. And it seems like there may be a couple of guys out for the New York Giants, or at least it's more likely they could be out than we thought maybe a couple of days ago. And we'll see if the New York Giants could overcome some of the players that will not be playing in this football game. But for me, when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys and when it comes to the New York Giants so far early in the year, it starts on the defensive side of the ball. That's where this game is going to be won. Make no mistake about it. This is going to be a game where it's going to be an ugly game. It's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be much like last week. I expect the game to be played in the high teens, very low 20s, 19-16, 21-17, that type of game. It's going to be a grinded-out football game, and as many question marks as the New York Giants have on the offensive side of the ball, the Dallas Cowboys match it, right? They have a rookie left tackle with Tyler Smith, who is not even supposed to be playing at the left tackle spot. I believe he was drafted to be a guard. But, of course, they're missing arguably the best left tackle in football, being that he's out with his injury. They also have Terrence Steele on the right side. Lael Collins was the right tackle last year. Not quite as good as Collins, but he's been pretty good so far. And in the middle, they got McGovern, they got Biotish, and they got Zach Martin. Guys that they've had there now for a couple of years playing with one another. Martin, of course, has been there for a long time. But the biggest weakness on this offense is obviously the left tackle, the inexperienced left tackle with Tyler Smith, and, of course, Cooper Rush, the quarterback. And the New York Giants, much like last week, are going to have to find a way to take advantage of that. Last week, it was a rookie left tackle with Carolina, and it was Baker Mayfield, who was inexperienced playing from within that scheme, and they were able to take advantage of that. Dallas certainly has a lot of weapons that we'll get into this in this video, and one of the weapons is going to be back, and that's Michael Gallup, who's been out this week. It looks like Schultz, the tight end, will not play, though. This is the betting line right now, at least according to PointsBet. And there's several other sites you could go on. MGM Grand is, I guess, is another one that I got off of this. The Giants, as of now, are -1. I think when it first came out, the Giants were -2 or -2.5. This spread may go down to a pick 'em, or the Giants may be even getting one before the start of the game. We saw that last week with the Carolina Panthers, where I think they opened as a 2 or 2.5 point favorite by game time. I think the Panthers were slightly favored. The number that really sticks out to me on that is the over-under of 39.5. And that number might not be low enough. Like I said, I expect this to be a grinded-out football game. We'll get into all of it throughout the video. But first, let's dive into the injury report. Trayvon Diggs did not play today, but it was non-injury related, so he's going to be playing in this game. Michael Gallup, as you see there, FP means full participant. Actually, I'm sorry, Trayvon Diggs was a full participant on Friday, did not play on Thursday for a personal reason. J-Ron Kurz did not play. Connor McGovern did not play. He has an ankle injury, so he's questionable, so good chance he may not play this week. We'll see. Micah Parsons did not play due to an illness. I expect Parsons to be out there for sure. Dak Prescott will not be playing in this football game. Dalton Schultz did not play. So there's definitely some key guys there. Schultz, if he doesn't play, I think that could help out the New York Giants defense a bit for sure. But you still got to worry about Tony Pollard coming out of the backfield as a pass catcher, much like Christian McCaffrey last week. I think that's got to be something that the Giants have to focus on in this football game. But we'll talk more about that as we go along. These are the stats so far for Cooper Rush, and so far he's been solid. I remember last year he had a pretty good game for the Dallas Cowboys when thrown into action. I think he threw for like 400 yards. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think he had a pretty good game. And thus far this year, I mean, you combine the stats, he's 26 for 44. He's got about 300 yards in the two games. He had some mop-up duty against Tampa Bay, and he played a full game last week. And he's got one touchdown. He's been okay. He had a pretty good first half last week for the Dallas Cowboys against the tough Cincinnati Bengals team, or a team that we thought was tough going into the year. Suddenly they're 0-2 with a loss to the Steelers and the Cowboys. So we'll see how real the Cincinnati is and whether or not they're able to bounce back. But that doesn't mean anything for this game. Regardless, it was an impressive win for the Cowboys at home last week. Now, the home could play a factor for the Giants. I think last week, even Matt Rule came out and said that the crowd definitely made an impact in that game. Not to mention, it's now the second straight week that the New York Giants will be playing home. So they should be more rested. It's also, I believe, the first time that Dallas will be traveling all year. So I think those things need to be factored in when you're thinking about who may or may not win this football game. And the Giants will be home for a third straight week next week, which should serve even a greater advantage going up against the Chicago Bears when they come to town. But it's one game at a time. That was the injury report for the Dallas Cowboys. Got this off Patricia Train. I'm going to be on her channel in a half hour, probably about 10 minutes once this video gets uploaded. Just wanted to pull up the injury report. First report, Kadarius Toney was downgraded today. Obviously not the best of news. We'll see what it means leading up into game time. He's had a lingering hamstring injury throughout camp, throughout the regular season. New York Giants wide receiver Kadarius Toney listed on this week's injury report with a hamstring ailment. Would not have been able to practice Friday, according to a team's injury report. The Giants held a walkthrough Friday, so the report was based on projections. Toney was limited Thursday, was the only player whose status changed for Thursday. So the only player on the team that got downgraded. They didn't have a practice, but it was a simulated, in terms of an injury report, it was simulated, and they had him for a DNP. If that's the case, you have to think there's a good probability that Toney, if he does play, will be incredibly limited, and there's at least a solid chance that he may not play in this game at all. Hopefully he does. I think he could have an impact, and if he doesn't, well, the New York Giants are going to be really thin at that wide receiving core. This also from the injury report. Leonard Williams, of course, suffered the injury last week. Sounds like it's going to probably be at least a 1 to 2 week recovery, possibly even more. So this isn't really a surprise. New York Giants lineman Leonard Williams, who suffered an MCL sprain last week, remains unable to practice with the team and appears to be a long shot to be ready to play Monday night when the Giants host the Dallas Cowboys. Williams was injured in the third quarter of last week's game with a diagnosed with an MCL sprain. So there you have it. I don't expect Leonard Williams to play. In terms of the rest of the injury report, defensive backs Aaron Robinson, who had an appendectomy, Justin Lane, who had a concussion, Nick McLeod, who's actually a good special teamer, has a hamstring, receiver Wan'Dale Robinson with a knee. We're also pre-practice injury report. We're on the pre-practice injury report released by Dable. Robinson is projected to be back by week 4, so that's good news. Get him back on the field sooner than later against Chicago. Wan'Dale Robinson is said to be making progress from a knee injury, initially reported not to be serious, but one that could end up costing him a second straight game. So I don't think Wan'Dale Robinson will be playing. The question will be who's going to play at that second cornerback spot. I'm going to assume it'll probably be Cordell Flott at least getting the start and we'll see if they make a move from within the game if he's struggling. Fott looked okay at times last week, and he struggled at times as well, which you expect from a rookie making his first start that was drafted in the 3rd round. We know that's a weakness, and we know that Wink is going to have to come up with a great game plan in this game if the New York Giants are going to win it. The Dallas Cowboys defense so far this year has been completely different than last year, and they've actually impressed me more. If you went into my live streams going into the year, and it's only been 2 weeks, we'll see. But I said I thought Dallas's defense would regress this year, and my main reason being was that I thought it was unsustainable, the amount of turnovers they were able to create last year, and I think that kind of masked a lot of the deficiencies from within their defense last year. The fact that they led the NFL in turnovers created. They had 34 turnovers last year. They were also a much more aggressive defense in which they blitzed 29% of the time. Now, I think more of that has to do with the fact with the opponents they've gone up against the first 2 weeks, potentially for both numbers, but I don't expect Dallas to hit that 34 mark. They've only created 1 turnover so far this year, albeit against Tom Brady, who doesn't turn the ball over a whole lot, and Joe Burrow. To be fair, Joe Burrow did turn it over, I think, 5 times against the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 1. So they haven't created many turnovers, only 1. But despite that, despite the fact that they haven't blitzed a ton, despite the fact that they have not created many turnovers at all, they still rank as one of the best defenses in football. Through 2 weeks against Joe Burrow and Tom Brady, the Dallas Cowboys have only surrendered 360 yards through the air. Now, the Tampa Bay Bucs were able to run on them week 1, ran for about 160 yards. And if the Giants are going to win this game, and if they're going to have success on offense in this game, it will be on in the ground game. In my opinion, this is not going to be the game to see the New York Giants really open this up. As much giving respect to the Dallas Cowboys defense, it's also giving less respect to their offense. I don't see their offense with Cooper Rush at quarterback, with having a rookie left tackle, as an offense that is going to blow the New York Giants away. I think this is a game where you have to try to focus on limiting mistakes, playing smart quarterback play, taking the opportunities when they're there. But I want Daniel Jones in this game outside of taking a few shots. If he has a couple of opportunities with Trayvon Diggs on the outside, we all know there may be an opportunity here or there. But this is a game, much like the first 2 weeks, where if I'm Brian Daboll, I want Daniel Jones to manage this football game. Be smart with the football. Come up with key 3rd down conversions when you can. I don't expect you to put up 27 points in this game going up against this Dallas defense. I just don't. I mean, the Bucs only scored 19 last week. The Bengals obviously struggled mightily against this Cowboys defense as well. So this Cowboys defense looks good. And it starts with Micah Parsons. And that's probably the biggest key matchup for the New York Giants on the offensive end going into this football game. It's going to be Parsons. Parsons is probably the best defensive player in football right now. He's got 4 sacks already, was dominant in his rookie year. And you know for a fact he's going to be paired up on Evan Neal. They're going to try to take advantage of that matchup. Dan Quinn is an aggressive defensive coordinator. Micah Parsons is a beast. I think the Giants, much like last week, and we're going to get into the defense as well, but I think it's going to be a similar game plan on both sides of the ball. On the offense last week for the Giants, you saw a lot of 2 tight end sets. You saw a lot of max protection. You saw them trying to establish the run. I think you're going to see a lot more of that this week. They're going to need to help Evan Neal. He's not going to be able to take Micah Parsons play for play going one-on-one. He's going to need help, whether it be a tight end, whether it be a running back. He's going to need help on Micah Parsons. That's obviously the guy that you worry about by far the most in this Dallas Cowboys defense. And you got to worry about Daniel Jones potentially getting blindsided, fumbling the football, rushing a throw because he's getting pressure before he wants to get it off. So they got to do everything in their power to establish the ground game. And when they do throw, they got to help out Evan Neal. And I think that's obvious. We all know that. If we're going to win this football game, we got to play smart football. We got to realize this is going to be a grinded out football game. Got to find a way to establish the run. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's the truth. And last week, the Giants weren't able to do that in the first half. They got it going in the second half, though. They were able to run for 65 yards in the second half with Saquon Barkley. And in order for us to do that, we're probably going to have to open it up with the pass at least a bit. We have to make this defense honor our ability to throw the football, because they're certainly going to try to do the same thing and mimic the same thing that the Carolina Panthers did last week, which was put 8 in the box. But the New York Giants cannot get away from the run. And in a game like this, I don't expect them to. Even if the Dallas Cowboys are doing a good job in terms of preventing it, I think they're going to stick to their guns. They're going to come out and they're going to continue to try to establish that ground game. Jones will have to pick up some key 3rd downs, though, throughout the game. The Giants continue to struggle on 3rd down. They were 6 of 18 last week, which was 33%. It was an upgrade over the previous week in which they were only 20%. But hopefully they can find a way to get the job done, move the chains, put some points on the board. But don't expect this to be the week where you see like a huge offensive output by the Giants. It's just not going to be the week. We're going to have to rely on that defense. On the defensive side of the ball, like I said, I think it's going to be about attacking the weakness of this offense, and that's the left tackle. That's the left tackle, and that's the quarterback. Now, they do have Michael Gallup back, which is a challenge. Michael Gallup now is going to more than likely be paired up against Cordell Flott or whoever we decide to start at that cornerback too. It'll be interesting to see if Adoree Jackson travels with CeeDee Lamb. Lamb is a guy that they can move all over. They've played him in the slot. We remember that last year where they tried to take advantage of Darnay Holmes. So he's definitely a chess piece you got to worry about. But the guy I'm actually most worried about in this game from a defensive standpoint is Pollard. Now, I will say the Giants did a tremendous job last week with Christian McCaffrey. And the reason they were able to do that, they had a ton of 3 safety, sometimes even 4 safety looks. And against an offense like this, due to the fact, especially that Dalton Schultz will not be playing, and I don't think they're going to have a lot of 2 tight end sets, expect them to try to match up the same way. They have to spy Pollard. He's definitely a much bigger play threat than Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield, both as a runner and a pass catcher. And I think they're going to man him up similar to the way that they did with Christian McCaffrey. McKinney will be on him. That's what they're going to do. They're going to have a safety spy on him, and it'll come down to generating pressure on the quarterback as quickly as they possibly can. 2 players we failed to mention that at least project to play in this game, and we'll see, are Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari. And if they play in this game, I cannot wait to see the impact that they could have in this New York Giants defense, a defense that has looked really good through 2 weeks, even without them in the lineup. 2 of the 3 or 4 probably best players in this defense now suddenly will be inserted back into the lineup if they're a full go going into week 3. Now, of course, Leonard Williams will not be playing, and that could certainly make an impact. What do I expect the Giants to do? Possibly you move Jihad Ward up to the defensive line. After all, he is 290 pounds. He's done a tremendous job so far for the New York Giants, and I think he is capable of playing that 3 technique. So we'll see if the Giants decide to do that. But I think it's going to be a very similar defensive game plan to last week. They're going to let the Cowboys run the football. Not that they're going to let them, but I think their primary focus is going to be taking Pollard out of the passing game, forcing Dallas into throwing down situations, which means you got to do a decent job against the run, but taking away the big plays, not getting beat over the top, being aggressive when the opportunities present themselves, making adjustments at halftime. I have full confidence now with a full game's worth of game tape on Cooper Rush, playing in this Dallas Cowboys offense this year with these weapons, getting a real good look at them off of last week. I have full confidence without their left tackle that Wink Martindale is going to come up with a good defensive game plan. And I have full confidence that he's going to find a way to create a couple of turnovers in this game. I really believe that. And I do think the New York Giants defense, ultimately, if we're going to win this game, they're going to be the unit that does it. Maybe Graham Gano kicks a couple of key field goals. Maybe Jones punches it into the end zone once, hopefully twice. We'll see. I do think Barkley could get it going on the ground. Like I said, the Bucs had 160 yards against them week 1. May not be as easy due to the fact that we don't have quite the passing attack, especially if Kadarius Toney doesn't play in this game. I'd like to see Kenny Golladay a bit involved, especially if we don't have Toney. But you can't predict what the New York Giants are going to do with that wide receiving core. You just can't. I just don't think, though, that overall this is going to be the week that we really open up the offense in terms of throwing the football. I still think that's probably at least 2, if not 3 weeks away when you look at our schedule, when you look at the injuries we have with the receiving core, when you look at the way the offensive line has played overall in terms of pass protection. I still think they're going to wait another 2 or 3 weeks to really open this up because they're trying to give the New York Giants the best chance to win football games. And right now, especially going up against a team with a limited quarterback like Rush, with the injury they have on the left side, the Giants' best chance is to control the clock, something they did great at last week. 36 minutes last week to 24. We won the time possession by 12 minutes. That's the most since 2019, I believe it was, when I went back and looked at the stats in terms of winning in that department. So hopefully the Giants can build off of that, create a couple of turnovers, run the football, pick up some crucial third downs, and get out of Dallas with a narrow, or get out of New York, I should say, with a narrow victory. I mean, I hope they blow them out, but we know as Giants fans, that's not going to happen. Here's what I'm going to do. In my heart of hearts, my brain tells me I do think the New York Giants are going to win this game. I really believe that. I do think the New York Giants are going to win this game. I do think Wink is going to come up with another phenomenal game plan. I do think the New York Giants crowd is going to be a factor. So don't get mad at me in the comments. I'm doing this for the Giants. I'm very superstitious. I picked against the Giants week 1. They won. I picked against the Giants week 2. They won. I'm going to keep picking against the New York Giants until the trend breaks itself. And then maybe we'll change it up. So all that being said, I am going to take the Dallas Cowboys in my prediction video. I'm not jinxing anything, okay? I'm going to ride this out. We're going to see how far we can go. I got the Dallas Cowboys 20, the New York Giants 17. But if you want my honest prediction, you could probably flip those two scores. Either way, I think this is going to be a game that is decided from within 3 points. I think whichever team does a better job at holding on to the football is going to win. I don't expect to see a lot of big plays. Now, what I will say is I could see the New York Giants having more big play opportunities than perhaps the Bucs did and perhaps the Cincinnati Bengals did, due to the fact that I think Dallas is going to be a lot more aggressive defensively in this game than they were against Tom Brady and probably than they were against Joe Burrow. Like I said at the top of the stream, so far this year, the Cowboys are only blitzing 18% of the time. Last year, they blitzed 28% of the time, which was among the league leaders, and we all know that's what Dan Quinn wants to do. So I think they'll be more aggressive in this game. I do think they're going to blitz the Giants more than they've blitzed their first two opponents, which could lend itself, if the Giants could pick up the blitz, to some potential big plays. And I won't be shocked if Jones does hit one big bomb. We know that their top cornerback, Diggs, is a great playmaker. I think he had 9 interceptions last year, whatever it was. But he is also a guy that is not allergic to getting cooked over the top. And I have no doubt about it. If the Cowboys are aggressive in this game defensively, which I think they should be, and they will be, there will be an opportunity at some point in this game for Jones to hit somebody big. The question is, will the Giants be able to cash in on it? Going to be a really good game. Can't wait to cover it with you guys all weekend. Hopefully you guys enjoying your weekend. Hopefully you enjoy NFL Sunday. I'll be live Sunday night. Like I said at the top of the stream, to recap the games from within the division and kind of get amped up for the New York Giants. But thank you for watching. And as always, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.